We're in hard times and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyers Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyers Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyers Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.
Ahora puedes demostrar tu orgullo hispano mientras manejas en la carretera con la nueva tablilla o placa de auto hispana conmemorando los 500 años del descubrimiento de Florida por Juan Ponce de León.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana este año y harás la diferencia.
Solo 1,000 se necesitan para hacerla permanente.
Su donativo ayudará a estudiantes con becas.
Nuestra comunidad se beneficiará con más programas y servicios.
Resalta nuestra cultura, nuestras raíces.
Demostremos que en la unión está la fuerza.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana en el Departamento de Vehículos de Motor más cercano o llama hoy al 321-277-0850.
Good evening and welcome to Speak Out TV with Bright House. I'm Glenda Chauncey, and this evening we have a special guest by the name of William McBride, who's running for State Senate. Welcome to the program tonight.
Well, thank you, Glenda.
Glad to have you.
Good to be here tonight.
Very good. So you've been running this race now for a little while, I think.
Yes, it's been lots of fun. I have 3 young boys, 7, 9, and 11, a wife. We homeschool. We have 3 or 4 dogs, and
running for office.
And running for office, and I'm running a law firm and working. So it's been. I think my wife's ready for us to be done with the campaign.
Be done with it. So what efforts, I mean, have you done yourself? Is it something that comes directly from you financially, or do you have people that have supported your campaign?
Right. Well, we've had we've had contributors, people who have volunteered, people who are on paid staff, and we had the primary, and now we're in the general. Just a few more days before the final vote, and we're just excited to if we would be honored to serve the state of Florida as a senator from District 14.
Very good. Well, you say you're actually from this area, from
Correct.
Florida?
I was born in Tampa, and I basically grew up in the Central Florida. My dad's been a minister in the Orlando, Tampa area for the last 40 years. My mom and dad have been public school teachers, and I taught 1 year. I taught for a little while in Central Florida, but then I taught outside of the state in public schools for 3 years. I was a high school football coach, a track coach, and a youth minister. I saved all my money after I graduated from college, and after 3 years of saving, I was able to go to law school. And the reason I decided to go to law school was because when I was 10 years old, now my dad was a Mexican migrant worker, came to the United States, worked hard in the fields, and my family, we were trying to purchase our first home. Well, we didn't have much money, and they did a rent-to-own type of arrangement that ended up being a scam. So after my parents paid for a year, we were kicked to the curb, and we had to sleep in a car. We didn't have any money, all 5 of us sleeping in a car, and I told my dad, why don't you hire a lawyer? He says, well, we can't afford one. And as a 10-year-old boy, sleeping in the front seat of the car with my siblings and my parents, I said, one day I'm going to be a lawyer, so nobody will ever do this to us. So I was able to go to high school, graduate because of public high school, and then also attend Florida State University. And then my dream came true when I graduated from law school. And then I came back to Orlando, and I opened my firm. I have an office in Orlando and Tampa, and now also Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we have over 70 employees. And that's the exciting thing, because I know what it is not to have. And I know what it is to work hard. And then you can appreciate those things when they come. So my goal as a public school teacher and now as an attorney has been to give back to the community, and that's why I want to run. And I would be honored to serve District 14 as the state senator.
Well, I think you chose a very interesting time to run for office.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think right now, especially in the state of Florida, I mean, we're in a turmoil.
Right.
We really are. Economically, I deal personally myself in foreclosure law, representing homeowners. And you're seeing so much of bad things happening with the economy, the job loss, the true job loss. What is your stand on, first of all, let me ask, because I guess, you know, being someone that would hope you'd step into a position and really look out for someone like myself.
Right.
You know, the foreclosures, and you're seeing how the banks have done some pretty not good things to people,
right.
you know, to go into a foreclosure situation, losing their homes and things like that. What do you foresee happening with this dilemma that we have, right? Epidemic is what I call it.
And I think it's exploitation what's taking place. And basically the dollar has controlled and dictated who's going to be in charge. And unfortunately, we were in that same situation. We had no other recourse when I was 10 years old. We lost our home. My parents didn't really have the education or experience or the money to know how to fight this. And that's why it's exciting to be in this time period, because I know what it's like to go through that. As an attorney, I practice personal injury. If we don't win, we don't charge. And I've been there fighting for our clients. We have thousands of clients. We've recovered millions upon millions of dollars. And I've stood up to those big insurance companies, to those big corporations now that aren't supporting me, but they're supporting my opponent because they said I sue them. And I said, no, I'm just trying to make sure that my clients are taken care of. And many times that first offer is a few $1,000s, but after we litigate it, and we litigate it and litigate it, now it turns into something real that can put my client back in a position where they were before, and it can take care of them in the future. But we have to fight for that. And that same fight that I've had as an attorney, I want to take that to the state Senate, because I am not being supported by the quote-unquote big corporations. I'm not having any special interest coming really to me. That's going to my opponent. But I have one special interest, and that is the constituents, my residents in District 14. I will go fight for them as I fight for my clients as an attorney. I'm going to go fight for that, and I am not going to take a salary. I don't believe, why should I get paid? In my business, if I don't win, I don't get paid. If I'm a state senator, why should I get paid while everybody else is suffering and losing their jobs? Unfortunately, my opponent, Darren Soto, did vote to raise his pay at a time where, come on, we're hurting. And the way the states, whether Republican or Democrat, I don't care whom it is, they're getting better benefits than we get, and they're basically getting it at a very discounted price. I don't think that should be.
Well, knowing that, I mean, and again, just focusing on the foreclosure issue, I mean, knowing that the banks were not doing fair practices with people, and from the very beginning of the Bush administration, I mean, it didn't happen just in the Obama. It trickled in together.
And I will tell you, during that time, I believe they committed conservative malpractice. Because, you know, I'm not here. I am a conservative who happens to be a Republican. Sometimes the Republicans stray from that, but I want to stick to my core. And yes, I believe what you're saying, and I agree with you that the big businesses, the banks, have taken advantage. And how does somebody stand up to one of the nationwide banks? Look, we had a very close friend of ours. I knew she was making $10 an hour back a few years ago, and she owned 2 houses, and she told me, I'm owning my 3rd home. And, you know,
it just didn't make sense.
Didn't make sense. It just, I will stand up to that, and I will fight those special interests.
Well, I would love to believe that, because I believe that this, it's going to get worse. I believe it's not going to get better now that the fraud's been exposed, and you know, Pam Bondi just was granted X amount of millions of dollars to give out to the Floridians.
That needs to get back to the Floridians.
Well, it needs to be more than that, personally, in my opinion, because you know, it was.
But that's
bad.
A start that needs to get back.
It's a start. It is a start. But my understanding is, in the Republican stand, that they don't feel that the homeowners should get anything. I mean, if you really listen to the debates of the politicians, the Republicans, they don't want to keep what some things have been enacted to help people, because we're the, you know, they call them the, you know, the handouts. People want to take the handouts. I mean, what do you feel about that? You know, knowing that the programs could just stop because now we have a Republican president.
Well, I will go fight for that, and I'll make sure in the state legislature that people like my family, when we lost our home when I was 10 years old, that money will find its way back so those families can begin to rebuild their lives. That's what I do as a personal injury lawyer, and that's not looked over too favorably. That's probably why I'm being opposed by some Republican-leaning groups, because I will go fight for that little guy. I don't need this state legislature position, salary to pay my bills. I want to go up there. I want to make a difference. If it's for 2 years or the 4-year term after that, I want to go make a difference, and I want to go back, spend time with my family, and I want to go fight. I'm not doing
I hope they'll let you continue that, because that sounds wonderful. And also, we spoke a little bit just about immigration, and that obviously touches something very much to you, because becoming, you know, from Mexico, your family, you know, that means a lot to you, obviously. So what is your stand on immigration?
Well, immigration is a federal issue, but I believe, first of all, that we have to be fair about the situation. And you know what? Let's take out the political rhetoric that's taking place. And I know one of the big issues is this DREAM Act. We have kids that have come here at the age of 2 and 3 years old, or young kids. This is the only country they know. They've grown up. And now to say, no, we're going to deny you a college education. Well, I will tell you this. My mom has been fighting to help these kids get scholarships. And for the last, I believe, maybe 12 years, she's been helping these kids get scholarships. In fact, we have one young man in Coe just received the Bill Gates Scholarship. And he's the son of migrant workers. Wow. And he received the Bill Gates Scholarship, Juan Briones. And that will pay all the way through any type of graduate school. And that's what we're doing. She's traveling all over the United States. Nice. We're helping these kids get scholarships so that they can better themselves. My whole issue of this, now I come from a youth minister background. My dad's a minister. My whole thing is, let's just be fair. Let's be reasonable. Yes, we want to control our borders. We want to protect our citizens. We don't want to harm our citizens because we are here to protect the United States. But at the same time, let's be humane. And let's do this in a way that benefits, make it a win-win situation.
Well, our audience appreciates that because, you know, as you know, many of our audience listeners are immigrants. They are from other countries, specifically Hispanic. So that means a lot, I'm sure, to our audience out there. Well, in just a little bit of brief moments of what you'd like to say before the big election day to our viewers, anything you'd like to share with them?
Well, I would like to say that, first of all, that it's very important that we put somebody not in just this seat, but in every elected position coming available that has a track record of proven success. With our basketball teams or our football teams, why would we hire a coach that has a losing record to come in and coach the Orlando Magic or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and hope that they're going to take us to the Super Bowl?
I don't know if you want to use Orlando Magic.
No, but I'm just saying, but what I'm saying is, why would we hire somebody who has a losing record? And, you know, I say this with all due respect. My opponent has a negative $75,000 net worth. He's a single man, and I wish him the best. But if he can't manage his own personal finances, he can't. I don't want him managing mine. I wouldn't want him managing my business. And how can you manage 18 million plus Floridians and their budget? And Florida's already hurting. And he's been fined over and over and over for abusing the campaign dollars to pay for personal things. And he's been reprimanded and fined for that. That's fine. Let him take care of that. But I believe there's a choice here that I have 70 employees. I'm not perfect. I'm striving. I'm working hard. I want to make a difference. I believe you're dealing with ideas from my opponent. I think he means well, but in this situation, let's go with a proven track record of actually winning, of turning a profit. My goal in the state of Florida was make sure that we cut out all the wasteful spending. No more politicians trying to live off the tax dollars, and that's what's happening. And they're trying to figure out a different way how they, whether it's Republican or Democrat. I'm going to shine the light on them, and I will not take a salary. I will not take the medical benefits that everyone else, and I want to make sure that we can actually make the state of Florida work for Floridians. I don't want to have to. I want to try to get off the different politicians and lobbyists that are living off the state of Florida. They may not like me, Republican or Democrat, but I'm going to go up there and I'm going to make a difference.
That's a whole other subject in itself. Well, we appreciate you coming this evening, and you know, it's very important to get out there and vote and make a difference. We need people in office in the state of Florida to make a difference. And Mr. McBride, hope that's you.
Thank you. It would be an honor. It would be an honor.
It'll be an honor to have you in that position. Thank you, and thank you for joining us this evening. And stay tuned for the next segment of our Hispanic Speak Out TV with Bright House. We have a guest, Dr. Juan Omania, who is with Breast Cancer Awareness for the month of October.
We're in hard times, and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyers Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyers Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyers Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.
Ahora puedes demostrar tu orgullo hispano mientras manejas en la carretera con la nueva tablilla o placa de auto hispana conmemorando los 500 años del descubrimiento de Florida por Juan Ponce de León.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana este año y harás la diferencia.
Solo 1,000 se necesitan para hacerla permanente.
Su donativo ayudará a estudiantes con becas.
Nuestra comunidad se beneficiará con más programas y servicios.
Resalta nuestra cultura, nuestras raíces.
Demostremos que en la unión está la fuerza.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana en el Departamento de Vehículos de Motor más cercano o llama hoy al 321-277-0850.
Welcome back to Hispanic Speak Out. I'm Jose Miranda, along with Glenda Chauncey, and representing Danny Ramos, and along with Bright House TV. We welcome you to another evening of get to know people in your neighborhood. So tonight we're going to speak to Juan Omaña, actually, who's a surgeon out of Kissimmee and at the Florida Hospital Medical Group, and the doctor has graciously told us there's no restrictions to asking him different questions. So we're going to ask him about baseball questions,
go ahead,
football stuff, and that kind of stuff.
The fun stuff.
You'll probably find that I know more about that.
The fun stuff.
This is Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah, breast cancer.
Breast cancer especially,
That's right.
and it's very important, and you'll see it in sports too, because they're wearing pink and stuff like that, and selling them off, raffling them off to bring awareness and bring money to help the cause. Tell us how you became a surgeon and why.
Well, actually became a surgeon on my last year of pre-med school. I took part of an interesting lab exercise where we were making small operations or trying to sort of play out what goes around in the operating room. And back then I decided, I said, well, this is something that I would like to do with my life. So that's how I got started, and then the love of science was always there for me. So it was just a natural progress for me to move into medicine and surgery.
Well, you have a very interesting background in that you really didn't start out looking for medical.
No.
Right? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, well, I was born into a missionary family. We moved quite a lot. My dad was a missionary, and I saw my dad helping a lot of people, and my mother was a teacher too. So it's something that I wanted to become a teacher initially, teach science, and then I started, learning more about the way the human body works and all that. So it sort of turned me into more going into the medicine field, and eventually that's how I merge helping people and also learning the science of medicine too.
You are, how long have you been practicing then?
Well, I just finished training.
Okay.
I got trained for 5 years in residency. I did 2 years of fellowship, one clinical and one in research up there in New York. I just recently moved to the Kissimmee area, and basically this is my first practice. So I'm really excited. It's a fun time. It's good because I get to shape the practice the way I want it. It's a clean page for me. There's no baggage. I can see the patients. The patients get to know me for the first time. So it's an exciting time.
Do you deal specifically with breast cancer?
I do.
Or just across the board?
Across the board. A general surgeon, I always get asked this question: what does a general surgeon do? And a general surgeon mainly does a lot of the gastrointestinal organs surgery. It's stomach, small intestine, large intestines, appendix, gallbladder. But we also do a lot of breast cancer surgery, and also screening for breast cancer, which is another important part. So any woman that has a breast lump or a complaint or abnormal finding on the mammogram, on any other test that they get for their breast, they come to see me.
Okay. Is there something, this is Breast Awareness Month also for cancer, what is so unique about women's cancer as opposed to, stomach cancer? Or
well, on breast cancer, unfortunately, it's a very common problem here in America. 1 out of 8 women will have breast cancer. So it's very common. We have to be aware of that. Stomach cancer is not so prevalent. in the United States. Other parts of the world, like for example Japan, the rate of stomach cancer is so high they have become experts in that field. Not so much here in the United States because our incidence of stomach cancer is so small. Mm-hmm. But breast cancer, it is a significant amount of people will suffer that. We're talking about over 200,000 women will get diagnosed next year with breast cancer.
200,000?
Yeah.
I would say that's more like an epidemic, isn't it?
It is.
What are the causes? Because you hear so much of this, and sometimes you'll hear say, it's hereditary, it's genetic, it's what we eat. It's not. I mean, it's got to be something across the board with so many people being affected by this.
Only 5% to 10% of the breast cancer that we see are genetically related. So that's one. The vast majority of them is what we call multifactorial. We don't know exactly. There are many factors that can predispose women to have breast cancer. One of them, you can say, the amount of estrogens that are produced, because most of the cells, the cancer cells, breast cancer cells, they feed out of estrogen. Mm-hmm. So if your period of estrogen has been longer than the usual, or what it's known as a normal period of, or your reproductive cycles, then you become more likely to have breast cancer. Another one, for example, if you happen to have no pregnancies, you never had pregnancies, that puts you in a particular spot because you had unopposed estrogen stimulation of your breast for all your life. So actually, when you become pregnant, that estrogen, surge will decrease for a while. So that's something that can help you to avoid getting, breast cancer in the future. So
basically, you're saying barefoot and pregnant? Is that what you're just
Actually, that's one of the questions that I always ask.
Yeah.
How many times have you been pregnant?
Right.
Some studies will link the women that breastfeeding will protect women from having breast cancer. So those are things, certain diets, high caffeine, smoking. So the relationship is kind of blurry. I don't want to say that that's a clear, link between these things and the development of breast cancer. But nonetheless, if you keep a healthy lifestyle, if you stop smoking, if you're smoking, and
well, this can happen at any age, can it?
It can. And
it can happen to men also?
It does. We roughly see about 1,500 cases of male breast cancer in the United States a year. Wow. So it's there, but it's not so prevalent as with women, and it is a significant problem, and we have to pay attention to it. And luckily, we have October as a month of awareness, and that's very important. The more knowledge we have, the more power we have. And that's what it's important. We were talking about that before. My job is to really communicate to you what the information is, what you have, what knowledge do I have about the disease. And then we sit down and we make a plan. How are we gonna do this? Is a joint effort, is a team effort, is you putting your part and me putting my other part. So it's something that will get you to having a result, having a good result out of surgery or whatever the treatment options are.
Well, knowing that this is an epidemic, with those kind of high numbers, why can't we implement it in the education systems of, at a young age, maybe high school age, where, people come in and teach them, or even at college, where they can teach them how to give themselves the breast examinations and, where to get help. Why have we never implemented these kind of programs? It always confuses me a little about that.
Well, it requires a lot of effort. It requires more, not so much a company or an institution trying to reach out. It's about everyone getting involved.
But that's how you would get them involved. Exactly. You've got an audience of young women that need to be taught at a young age how to take care of themselves. What a better audience than to have, senior girls and then girls going into college. I just can't imagine that's been missed in our country. Sure. I always ask this question, and I don't understand why it's never been implemented.
That's a great idea. I think what we know is that since breast cancer happens more at an older age, we tend not to forget about the younger women that are coming up the ranks, and they are eventually reaching those ages where they can, have that predisposition. And even some women, we see some cases, unfortunate cases, that women that develop breast cancer at a very young age.
Yes,
and
very much.
We have a couple of minutes left, but I wanted to ask you specifically, with current political atmosphere, where they're cutting back on medical procedures and stuff like that, how has it affected your practice, and how will it affect your practice going forward?
Well, I think in the way the reimbursement, and we can get into a lengthy discussion about that, and the cuts of Medicare and the different insurances and all that. It's something that eventually forces us, like young doctors, to have to work for a hospital and be subsidized by a hospital. So that way you can start a practice, you can serve your community, and at least don't have that extra burden of knowing, I'm going to make my payments, I'm going to be able to sustain financially my practice, my employees, all that. So it's a little bit of a little new model that we're learning, because we doctors, we are like small business owners. But eventually, with this new model, we can sort of lean back and then take care of the patient and see if the big corporations, the hospitals, can take a little bit of load of that.
Is your oath supposed to be health and wealth, or is it supposed to be to take care about health and wealth will come to you?
That's correct. When we take an oath, even we're supposed to not look at the money. That's clearly stated there. Right. And you're also supposed to take care of family members from your mentors or other fellow doctors. Right. And that's something that has been lost. If I see someone who's related to another physician, I shouldn't charge for that service. So it's something that it's something that is there, but sometimes gets
goes by the wayside. Okay.
Well, I was going to say, give some information about Florida Hospital and what they're doing for this month of October and the breast cancer awareness. I think that's important.
We have what we call jointhepinkarmy.com. It's a very interesting and unique community effort. The hospital, Florida Hospital, is putting out this. It's a community effort. You enlist people like soldiers. You enlist other people to fight the war against breast cancer, and that is important. We have to be aware. We have to get screened. Tell people you gotta get screened. We're doing very low cost mammograms at our facilities.
How do we reach you?
We reach me. You can join the Pink Army at joinpinkarmy.com, or you can call me at my number is 407-944-3071. That's my office number.
Okay.
And you're located in Kissimmee.
In Kissimmee, right.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Don't forget, folks, that we are in the voting season. We're hot and heavy and starting into it. Please get out and vote, okay? Your vote could be the difference of joining the Pink Army or not, having things go forward or not. It's up to you to back these ladies and gentlemen who are going out here to solicit your votes. And make sure they earn it. Make sure you ask all the right questions before you vote. Remember, voting is up to you. We build the bridges because of you and with you. I'm Jose Miranda, along with Glenda Chauncey, and along with our renowned doctor. And we'll see you here next week, next time. Thank you.
We're in hard times, and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyers Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyers Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyers Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.